This could be a practice run, like.
Without further ado, Rabbi Mordechai Machlis will share some words of chizuk divei Torah. You can stay, Farbrengen, eat, drink. It's all going to go to the garbage. So really, Mama, please just eat it. No, I don't mean it in a bad way. Meaning it's unfortunately we don't have so many. Baruch Hashem, the people of Miami, the Yidden of Miami take very good care of the downtrodden here. We don't have as many as Jerusalem to support like you do, but we're also not as Isaac as you. So we don't. Unfortunately, this is probably going to go to the staff.
Is there an organization? Sherith a plate.
Share it the plate. Please, Mordechai Machlis. Thank you.
Shalom Aleichem. Shalom to everyone. Shalom. Thank you so much for joining. Hashem should bless each of you, individually, collectively. I send you deepest regards and blessings from Yerushalayim. I'd like to share something. Liluy Neshama. Tonight is the yahrzeit of one of the great Hasidic Rebbes, and I thought that maybe one aspect of his being, one aspect of his life story, is reflective of the great projects that people are connected to here. I understand that I'm sitting in the room with people who are dedicated to concepts of tzedakah and hesed, and caring and sharing and loving. So the way I read the story, if you have a copy of the Batayin, it's in the second volume, is that he was a Rebbe, as you know. He was a Rebbe in Europe. And this is before the age of internet. This is before the age of even television, before the age of videos. And he was leading his community. And every year, there was a special shaliach. There was a special representative of the community in Eretz Yisrael that came to his community and started trying to raise money from the people in Europe for the Yishuv in Eretz HaKodesh. And the question is always, well, can you tell us something about Israel? If you have a story, tell us something about Eretz Yisrael, Eretz Yisrael. What Israel is like. The whole land is like shining with the glory of God. The mountains of Israel, like bedecked with all of the diamonds and rubies. The ground of Israel, jewels all over. Really? They're all sitting there, and then he comes back the next year. Can you tell us something about Eretz Yisrael? He's coming to raise money. Tell us something about Israel. Israel. You just look at the landscape of Israel, and you will see in front of your eyes the most precious of all diamonds, the most precious of all rubies, the most precious of all. Really? After a certain amount of years, the Rebbe decided he's moving to Eretz Yisrael. Okay, moving to Eretz Yisrael, and of course, you understand, he had a group joining with him, and the Batayin is so excited as they get closer and closer to the landing of the boat, as the gets closer and closer to the land of Israel. He jumps off the boat, and he looks around. It looks like any other land. The mountains look like mountains. The grass looks like the trees. He's a liar. This man lied to us. He fooled us. He wants to make money. Okay, you want to make money. He told. What? Look at the branches. These are the trees of Israel. This is the ground of Israel. And he's livid with rage. And he says to his Hasidim, he had a little Beit Midrash in Tzfat, I think. In Tzfat. I want someone to go and find that shaliach. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care how many efforts you have to make. I want to meet that man. And he has this whole group of people learning with him, studying with him, davening with him in his little shtibel there. It took them a while. Remember this before you can identify people with phones, and they finally found him, the representative of the Yishuv in Eretz Yisrael. And they told him the Rebbe wants to see you. And he walks in, and the Rebbe closes the door and says, "Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that to me? Why'd you do that to my whole community?" I said, "What did I do?" He said, "You lied. For the purpose of raising money, you came here and you lied to us. You came to our community and you're telling us stories, Baba Maya, the glory of stones and rubies, and he said, Rabbi, you don't see it? You don't see the jewels? You don't see the rubies? He said, what are you talking about? You don't see it? And he was astonished. And he decided that he's going to daven to Hashem with all of his kavanah, and told his Hasidim, I'm going into solitude, I'm going to his bodadut in the Beis Midrash. I don't want anyone to bother me. And you can just pass me some food. I want to stay here alone. Full days of the Beis Midrash. Nobody's bothering him, they just pass in some food. 2 days pass. The third day he jumps, opens the door, runs into the Beit Midrash. Okay, we're having a big celebration today. They said, so what's the big celebration? And this is what he said. He said, when that shaliach came and told me, and said that Eretz Yisrael is shining with the brightest diamonds, with the brightest gems, and I didn't see it. I turned to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I turned to God and I said, God, please, if it's really true, can I see it? And I'd pray and pray, I'd daven and daven. I said Tehillim, I tried learning a little bit. I went to sleep and I said, okay, maybe in the morning. I open up the shutters in the morning. Trees look like trees, branches look like branches, the earth, the dirt, and the earth looks like dirt and earth. I tried 3 days in a row. But now, this morning, when I opened up the window, I really saw it. I saw the shining glory of Eretz Yisrael. I saw that this man wasn't lying. I saw that there is that really great radiance that he described to us. He was not fooling us. Shalom. It was we were blind. I was blind, and I didn't see it. This story is recorded it's a printed story in the volume of the Vadayin. I don't know if you have the Sefer here. And I think that story, besides the greatness of the Rav, the greatness of this Rabbi, I think is the story of everyone in his or her own way. I think there are so many people in front of us that are shining with glory. The glory of God, the inner neshama, the holiness of their spark. Some people see it, and some people don't. And some people can meet these people and think, I don't know, what do they make a big deal of it? There's nothing to that. But maybe go into the Beit Midrash for a period and daven to Hashem, and maybe see the shining inner neshama of every person. Maybe I read years ago that the Washington Post did a social survey. They were doing all kinds of experiments for psychological analysis, and they paid the top violinist in the world, top violinist to sit in the metro station in Washington D.C. and play his violin. The violin itself, I think, was worth close to $4 million, at least $3.5 million. And he himself, I mean, all of his concerts, like hundreds and hundreds of dollars just to go in. He's sitting there with his case open. They paid him to do this to prove a point. He's playing the music. And I saw a little video of part of it. People walking by, like, some beggar, some schlepper, sitting on the floor with his head. I think maybe in the course of an hour, maybe he made $17 or something like that. Yeah. Nobody really wanted to take note of it. And he's playing the same music he plays all over the world. And, at the end of the hour, he backs up. And then they wrote that 2 nights before that in Boston, they sold out crowd. There wasn't one seat to get for any amount of money in the world. The top violinist in the world, Stephen Bell, I think is his name. What?
Josh Bell.
Josh Bell. Joshua Bell, the top in the world. The top in the world. So that's what I think. I think, the Batzayin taught us that. And maybe the Washington Post taught us that. And maybe we learn this lesson every single day. So the guy that you pass by in the street looks like, I don't know what he's doing there. Maybe he would throw a few pennies into his case. Yeah, but only if you really knew who that person is. If only you really saw the shining light behind him. Maybe you're standing in front of the the top person in the world. But he doesn't wear a sign, I'm the top person in the world. He's sitting on the ground. And he looks dejected. He looks rejected. He looks like a schlump. He looks like a social misfit. But that's all a camouflage. That's only till God opens our eyes. And then we get to see the glory of Eretz Yisrael. Then we get to see a little bit of the taste of the Batayin. And I think that's the secret of how to deal with people. The Midrash says that when Hagar and Yishmael in Parashat Vayera, unfortunately they were dying of dehydration. Dying of dehydration. In the middle of a desert, there was no sources of water. He's crying, she's crying. Quote, Vayifkach Elohim et eineha. God opens her eyes and she sees the Be'er Mayim and she sees the well of water. Says the Midrash, it does not say that God created the well of water and then she was able to survive, right? No, that's not what happened. Vayifkach Elohim et eineha. God opened her eyes. The well was there the whole time. But only when God opened her eyes, as God opened the eyes of the Batayin, as God opened the eyes of all those people reading about social experiments, as God opens our eyes to anyone that we've encountered, each person, no one else like them in the world, in the whole world. Why don't we see it? Well, tonight's the Batayin. So tonight we have to sit and daven right here in this room, like, okay, every person I meet, can you show me, please? God, I want to see the shining light of their inner soul. You don't see it? So we have to have like emergency prayer sessions because that person is created in the image of God. I just want to say one thing. Am I talking too much? I stop?
No.
What?
Please continue.
You're saying, but nobody else here. Nobody else here. I continue another 2 minutes.
Yes.
Of course, we all choose to be here.
Yeah, but they chose to walk in, not them in. And they're polite, You know what it says in the Gemara? Why did God create one man and one woman? The Mishnah in Masechet Sanhedrin, I think it's Taflam Zayin. The Mishnah asks, seemingly when all forms of life were created, when all other forms of living beings were created, animals, birds, they weren't created like one male tiger and one female tigress, one horse and another horse, one donkey, and let there be donkeys. Donkeys all over. Let there be zebras all over, zebras. Let there be cats. Let there be dogs. So why is it? Asks the Midrash. Ask the Mishnah. It's a Mishnah. The Mishnah is generally, like more halachically oriented. This is an Agadah. This is a conceptual teaching in the Mishnah. Fichach nivra ha'adam yehidi. Why was an individual, why were human beings created? Only one. Only one man and one woman. The same way there was Adam and Eve. There could have been many men and many women. And there are several answers in the Mishnah. And one of them is the following. To teach you that every single person that you meet, the same way, could you imagine if someone destroyed, if someone hurt the feelings, if someone removed Adam from the world, God forbid, they would be destroying all of humanity. You know what happens when you hurt somebody? You're hurting all of humanity. You know what happens if kol ha'ma'abed nefesh achat ki'ilu ibed olam maleh? It's destroying the whole world. There is no other world. Go find the clone of this person. There is no clone. There's no one like her. Chava was one. Eve was one. Yeah. And every woman is Chava in her own way. But if there'd be many people, okay, there are 8 billion people on planet Earth. You lose some, you gain some. What's the big deal? But if you understand that Kol HaMekayem Nefesh Ahad, now there are 2 Girsa'ot in the Mishnah. There are two ways of reading it. Depends on, they're varying texts. I don't want to get technical, but there are 2, like in many, it's called Chilufei Girsa'ot. Some texts read that the purpose of the creation is to teach you Kol HaMekayem Nefesh Ahad Mi Yisrael. If if you sustain the life of one person of Israel, ki'ilu kiyem olam aleh, then you're saving the whole world. One person is the whole world, because there is no other world like that. Each person has a unique personality. Each person has a unique mission. Each person has an individual expression and can never be replaced. There's nobody else like that. Why is it that God makes everyone look different? Why is it that there are no two people with the same voice in the whole world? There are ventriloquists who can imitate. No two people have the same. Why? Because God wanted to make sure that we always remember. There's nobody else like that. I'm blessed to have twin daughters. Thank God. Hashem's blessed them. But they're not the same. Twin daughters. Everybody's different. So there's a question of whether the version is Kol HaMekayem Nefesh Achat MiYisrael. If you save one life of Israel, or you sustain one life of Israel, you're destroying or sustaining the whole world. But there are those who say that the correct version of that Mishnah is not with the word Mi Yisrael, without the word Mi Yisrael, because Adam and Eve were not Jewish. Adam and Chava were not Yisrael. If the proof text is that God created one man and one woman, and every man and every woman is created B'Tselem Elokim, in the image of God, then maybe the real nusach, maybe the real girsa of that Mishnah is Kol HaMekayem Nefesh Achat, any nefesh of anybody in the world, and Kol HaMa'abed. I hope that Hashem should bless each of you in your own lives. I understand that I'm sitting in the room with sensitive people who care about other people, who care about humanity, who care about Am Yisrael, and the merit of your efforts to relate to the greatness and to the singularity of each individual. You're building worlds, you're saving worlds, you're sustaining worlds. And the key to all levels of tzedakah and chesed is understanding who that person is. Because my humble experience, you don't need my experience, the experience of anyone who's ever tried in this field is that everyone is so different, everyone's needs are so different, everyone's needs are so individualistic. It's not one size fits all. Shalom. Not one size for everyone. Dei machsoro asher yachsar lo. The lack that person is lacking. What she needs is not what she needs. What his need is not his need. You have to figure out who they are and what they are. And I'll tell you what Rabbi Shuren told me. I have a friend in Eretz Yisrael. His name is Rabbi Yitzchak Shuren, and he's the head of a women's seminary called Madreshet Rahel. And he told me the following story. He told me that he's a grandson of Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky, Zichrono Livracha. I had the privilege of trying to study in Yeshiva Torah B'Lad. Rav Kamenetsky was the Rosh Yeshiva. And Rabbi Shuren, Yitzchak Shuren, is his daughter's son, the grandson of Rav Kamenetsky. So he went to his grandfather. When he was opening up the seminary. He said, Zaidi, could you give me a bracha? Give me a bracha. He said, okay, Yitzchak, I'll give you a bracha. May your school never be like Sodom and Amorah. May it never be like Sodom and Gomorrah. Now, Rabbi Kamenetsky is in parentheses. Rabbi Kamenetsky had a sense of you. I'm telling you, he really did have it. So Yitzchak said, listen, Zaidi, I'm serious. I'm really serious. I'm going back to Yerushalayim. I'm building. And he said it again. He said, Yitzchak, I'm also serious. I bless you that your institution should never be like Sodom and Amorah. He said, what are you talking about, Zaidi? He says, there's a teaching in Masechet Sanhedrin that, Sodom and Gomorrah are a world renowned for their lack of hospitality. However, if you study rabbinic sources, you realize, no, they also had a hospitality in Sodom. Mm-hmm. What was the hospitality? One size fits all. The Gemara talks about a bed, the famous Sodom bed. What was the stone bed all about? Every guest, we welcome guests. Lie down in our bed. What happens if you're too short? We stretch you. What happens if you're too tall? We cut you down, because everybody has to fit that bed. So Rav Kamenetsky said to his grandson, he says, there are some institutions, God forbid, in the past, not in the present, never in the future. Maybe it's like Sodom, okay, I don't care who you are. Get into the bed, that's a fit. You don't fit? We'll make you fit. One side, that's the opposite of charity. That's the opposite of Dei Machzaro Asher Yechzar Lo. That's the opposite of the Bat Ayin, seeing the uniqueness of Eretz Yisrael, the glory and the shine of each person. May you be successful in all of your endeavors, and may you be able to always identify the proper means and the proper method of making sure the inner light and the inner shine of each person's glory is something which you can see with your eyes and with your being.
Chaim, amen. That was beautiful. Wow.
Yeah.